Katana, they're gonna kiss soon. They are. I could just feel it. And I don't think they're gonna fuck or nothing like that because it's a kid show. So if I want to see that, I'm probably gonna have to go to a different website or something. Not that I'm not saying that I want to see it. I'm just saying if I did, I'll probably have to go to one of these fan sites. I know they can get a little freaky. But yeah, I could just feel it. They got some chemistry for sure. And I saw in this is episode 2 of my Avatar: The Last Airbender podcast. By the way, we're gonna go episode by episode, and we're just gonna talk about it. So I'm gonna get a little out of order because I watched episodes 3 and 4 last night. So I'm gonna talk about episode 4 first because that's when the chemistry between Katana and Aang really took front stage. So yeah, they've been flirting a little bit the first couple episodes, and Katana's actually starting to get jealous. They stumble upon this village with just girls, and all the girls love Aang, and you could see that Katana, she's very passive aggressive, and I've noticed that that's actually accurate. A lot of females, when they notice that another girl likes a guy, that's when they kind of take a step back, and she's doing the same thing, acting like she doesn't care when really she does. But that reminds me of the first time that I've had multiple girls want me, and it was back in junior high, right? This is when flip phones were still a thing. We didn't have iPods, or we had iPods, but we didn't have iPhones. So I had the MV, I believe it was the MV3. It was a touchscreen. That shit was dope at the time. And you could flip it up and it had a full QWERTY keyboard. And that shit was dope at the time too. Nothing was like that. You could flip it up and turn it sideways and it had the whole keyboard. So I had one of those, right? But apparently those phones weren't for people with a lot of friends because you couldn't group chat in them. You couldn't be put in a group chat because if you sent a text to a group, it sent a text individually to each person. It didn't send it to the same. It didn't send it to the group. It sent it to one person. It sent it to each person in the group individually. So I learned that the hard way because I remember these two beautiful girls. They put me in the group chat. It was them two and me. It would be different if I put them in the group, but they put me in the group. And it took probably 2 texts for them to stop responding because my phone couldn't send the text at the same time to both of them, so they got it individually. So you really had to piece together the conversation if you wanted to make sense of it, and I guess they didn't like that, so they stopped texting me real quick. So that kind of sucked. But and then I also remember the first time I ever got a heart emoji. That shit was cool, and at the time we were young, right? There was no such thing as emojis. You had to be fucking almost Pablo Picasso with it if you wanted to get your emotions across, your facial expressions across. So you had to piece together what you had in the keyboard to make your faces. So I remember I think it was a good night text, right, from this girl, and she put less than 3, and I didn't know what that meant. I thought she needed help with the homework or something. Less than 3. I'm thinking, what the fuck? What does that mean? Less than 3. And then it hit me. It looked like a heart, a sideways heart. And I was like, oh my God, that's crazy. I seriously think I got a boner too. I got so excited. I'm not lying. I for real think I did. That shit was, you got a fucking heart from a girl? Man, that shit was, I still remember it. And I remember her name, but I'm not going to say it because I think she got married recently, which broke my heart. I should send her a broken heart emoji. Yeah, so, yeah, Aang's over there flirting with girls, right? Katana's mad. Sokka's doing his thing. He's trying to prove that he's a good warrior. He's not, but he's working. He finally humbled himself and was like, "Can you teach me? I know you're girls, and I still think I'm better than you, but can you teach me?" And they were like, "Sure." So that was kind of cool. But jumping back to the third episode, that's when they finally reached the airbending temple, and you see that shit. It's in the clouds. It looks real good. Is shit. I'll live there. It looks real nice, and they they have this court. It's basically a bunch of um, pillars and two goals. And Aang says, "Oh, I remember playing airball and shit. I've played airball before, but it wasn't on one of those courts. It was on the basketball court. Shit, I was fucking terrible at basketball. Every shot was an airball. So I would have been good at that game that they were playing. I remember this one time I was in a game, right? I rarely got into games. And when I did, I never dribbled. You pass me the ball, shit, you might as well have passed it to a cardboard cutout because I wasn't moving with it. And I wasn't shooting. I would pass it. I wouldn't dribble it. But that's about it. So I got into this game one time, right? I was pretty good at defense, honestly. So I got in the game defense wise. First time out, I accidentally took myself out. I didn't know how to play. I accidentally took myself out of the game. I thought once you called the timeout, oh, team switch, you have to put in a whole new group. So uh, they start playing, and the coach looks out there, and he only sees 4 people. And he's like, "Rogers, what the fuck? Why aren't you out there?" I'm like, "Oh, man, I'm sorry." So I tried to run out there. No, I guess you can't do that either. You have to wait till a break to actually go back into the game. So I got in trouble for that. I had to sit down and we had to play with 4 people until the next stoppage in play. Man, that shit was so embarrassing. And then I got another basketball story actually too. It has nothing to do with basketball. Ironically enough, I have a basketball story that has nothing to do with basketball. Right? So we had lunch, right? Like normal junior high people do. We had lunch and there was this one big kid. I'm not gonna say his name because it's kind of an embarrassing story for him, but I'm gonna say it anyway. I'm sorry if you're watching this and you get offended. I'm sorry, but it's for the better of the podcast, and I'll tell embarrassing stories about me too. So it goes both ways. But anyway, so it was this big kid. He sat across from me, right? One day, a kid at my table challenged the kid across from me, the big kid. He challenged him to eat a whole chicken patty in one bite. Once I heard that, man, I got scared. I looked at him. Let's call him Johnny because I'm not gonna say his real name, so we'll just call him Johnny. I looked at him like, "Johnny, do not fucking do it. It's only $5. You can get that shit up way more." I didn't say that, but that's what I was thinking. It was only $5. But and I was also worried about his health, but that's beside the point. So he's looking at the chicken patty like this. He's looking around, and I really don't think that it was the $5 that got him to do it. I think it was for the clout. You know, sometimes you make a risk to get more popular. So I'm telling him, "Johnny, don't eat it. Do not do it." He puts it all in his mouth. He's chewing. And I'm sitting there like this. I'm like, "Are you fucking? He's gonna die." Anyway, he starts choking, right? And his eyes are bloodshot red. He can't breathe. And the whole cafeteria is now looking at our table. And we're like, shit. We had all the teachers come in. They're surrounding him, trying to get him to spit it out. He wouldn't spit it out. He would not spit it out. And finally, I guess he couldn't breathe. And he realized that maybe finishing the chicken patty wasn't as important as air. So he finally spit it out and he pulled it out. It was all chewed up and you could see the food. It was molded. It went like down the sarcophagus or whatever the fuck it's called. Yeah, it was like down here. He pulled it out and there was like a little tube hanging out of it. And we were like, "Oh shit." And we got in so much trouble. So much trouble. We had to talk to the police. They didn't know if we were trying to kill him on purpose. We had to talk to the teachers. Man, we got in so much trouble. And the reason why I brought this up with basketball is because that day at practice, the coach heard about it, and everyone that was on the team that was involved, they had to run the whole practice. Man, that shit was awful. So, shit, that was not fun. But he lived, man. He lived, and we might have an attempted murder on our record, but shit, he did it, and now I have this story to tell. But yeah, so they're at the air temple, right? That's where we are with the story, and they're looking around, and they've come in this room, and there's a bunch of statues all around it, and they're wondering like, who are all these people? Then you find out that they're all a version of Aang in the past life. Shit, that got me. That was wild. I wasn't expecting that. So I guess the last Airbender, he gets to reincarnate when he dies, which I don't know why the Fire Nation is trying to kill him. Then if he's just gonna reincarnate, they need to capture him, maybe lock him away, so he can't reincarnate and just come back and stop him. So that didn't make a whole lot of sense. Maybe they'll clear that up later. Maybe there's a special thing you got to do to kill him once and for all. I'm guessing that might be it. But yeah, so we figure out that Aang can reincarnate. And I actually have a story about reincarnation. It's not that I believe in it, it's not that I don't believe in it, but there was this kid in my junior high. His name was Zach. And he got on to a ghost show, one of those ghost adventure shows where they go in the house and hunt for ghosts. And Zach, he didn't do any of the hunting. He was just interviewed. And Zach was in a wheelchair, right? Um, that's just what he did. His legs didn't work, so he had to roll around in a wheelchair, an electric scooter type thing. So he's on the show, right? And he's getting interviewed. And I'm like, why the fuck is this kid on the show? Is his house haunted? Why would they get him? Turns out he claims, I'm not saying that he's lying, I'm not saying that it's truthful. He said that he was reincarnated, and in his past life, he was a warrior. I think he said a Chinese warrior in his past life. And shit, I don't really know what to comment on that, because if that's true, that's crazy. If that's what he really feels, then man, who am I to say that that's false? But like I said, I'm not saying that he's lying, but I'm saying all the warriors that I've ever seen, their legs work. And that's not to make fun of them. That's just to kind of play devil's advocate. But then again, he could be like, oh, the reason why I can't walk is because in my past life, my shit got blown up, or I got stabbed in the back and got paralyzed. So that's probably what he's thinking. But man, that's crazy. So that about sums it up. I'm trying to think if there was anything else that was important. Episode 4, he rode the fish. I'm telling you, there might, in every single episode, Aang might be riding some animal. The first episode it was penguins, now it's fish. He rode buffaloes. Man, next he's probably gonna try and ride, or Katana's probably gonna try and ride him. Straight up. I don't know, we're gonna have to see. But I think that's a good second episode. I think we did it. I think we got through the main parts, threw in my 2 cents. Again, I got sidetracked a little bit, but that's kind of to be expected from now on. I'm just gonna throw in stories that I remember while watching this show. It's kind of fun, seeing a scene and being like, oh, I remember this happened, and that kind of relates to this. Sometimes it's not gonna relate at all, but it's my podcast, so I'm gonna do it how I want to, and I'm still gonna be talking about Avatar: The Last Airbender. That's the backbone, but even the backbone, sometimes the nerves branch out from it. So just think of my little stories and anecdotes as the nerves branching out of the spine. But Avatar: The Last Airbender is still the spine. So I appreciate you for watching, and I'm gonna be watching episode 5 and 6 tonight, and then I'll be back tomorrow to give my critique and my 2 cents. All right, take care, guys.